Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Harrison. As many of you may know, I was born and raised in the Deep South, in Orangeburg, South Carolina, a place where my grandparents didn't have much money or formal education, but they had wisdom, they had work ethic, and they had an unwavering love that shaped who I am. They taught me that your roots may be humble, but your dreams don't have to be. And I'm standing here as living proof that you can go from a dirt road in South Carolina to the halls of the Capitol to chairing the Democratic National Committee, even in the toughest of times. My journey wasn't paved with privilege, it was forged through struggle. I watched my mom work multiple jobs to keep food on the table. I watched my grandparents stretch every penny and every prayer to keep the lights on. And I learned something that stayed with me every step of the way. Resilience isn't just a trait, it's a survival skill. So here's the first lesson I'll share today. Tough fights don't require perfect conditions, they require perseverance. You may not have the fanciest consultants, you may not have the biggest war chest, but if you have a purpose and you keep showing up, that's power. In 2020, I ran for the U.S. Senate in South Carolina. We shattered fundraising records. We built one of the most diverse, energized coalitions our state had ever seen. And we believed in the power of that campaign. And we lost. But here's what I've come to know deep in my bones. Losing a race doesn't mean losing your purpose. We didn't just run to win a seat. We ran to build something. We showed folks that South Carolina matters, that rural communities matter, that black voters in the Deep South aren't an afterthought. And that fight, even in defeat, laid the foundation for what came next. It led me to the DNC, and it taught me what leadership really requires. Leadership, real leadership, isn't about talking points. It's about conversations. And that's why I launched my podcast, At Our Table. I wanted a space for honest, unfiltered conversations where we talk about policy, yes, but we talk about pain, about purpose, about how people really lead through crisis. Because here's what I've learned. Leadership isn't built in a moment. It's built in that messy middle, in the early mornings, in the quiet doubt, in the moments when you choose to rise again and again. So to the next generation of political and movement leaders, let me say this. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present. You don't need to have all of the answers, but you need to ask the right questions. You don't need permission to lead, just the courage to start. From the Deep South to the DNC, every step of my journey has reminded me of something my grandfather once told me. If you want to change the world, start by showing up and don't leave until that work is done. So if you've ever doubted your place at the table, let me be clear. Pull up a chair, because at our table, we make room for truth, we make room for grit, and we make room for the future we are building together. So let's get to work, my friends. Look forward to seeing you out there on that campaign trail. Thank you so much.